Hi, Dr. Karen Can here. Welcome to another Spiritual Medicine Digest, and I am having great trouble recording today. Okay, this is like take 10. Normally I do one take and that is it. Well, partway through, something was burning in my house, and I was like, ran out in the middle of my Spiritual Medicine Digest and found out that the fireplace, my masonry stove, had some residual papers in there that suddenly decided to combust, and the chimney wasn't open. So a little smoky in here, but I got the window open. Yeah, it's still snowing. Yeah, we have a snowstorm here. Well, actually, it's not really a storm to us. It's like light snow, but light snow as in like several feet of light snow over the last 24 hours. So, but I got cold air coming in. I got the fans going. Hopefully you can't hear that too much in the background. So I'm trying to like breathe some air here. Okay, so let's see if I can get through this without like having to do take 11. Okay, so it's been an action-packed week. So we have been through the expansion phase of the Ascension cycle. So that means well, at least for now, what happens is that we now can sense and are aware of newer people, dimensions, things that we haven't been aware of previously, and they're aware of us. So it's part of that expansion phase of the Ascension cycle, and there's 4 phases. So four phases. So there is the expansion, rising, resistance, and the integration phase. And as I'm recording this, we are now in the rising phase, but we have been in the expansion phase for a number of days. And during that phase, we opened up to the awareness of these new entity dimensions. Now I say dimensions with a plural because couple days in a row I found new ones, and then I decided to ask, smart me, ask source, okay, are there any more of these? And yes, the 29 new entity dimensions between a light score of 1 to 3 that we opened up to, they opened up to us. Now, is it potentially, problematic if we don't do anything about it? Yeah, potentially, but we are, ascending, so we get to, release and heal all of our lives and help others heal. And so I just took it as, helping others heal. So you might have had some glitches here and there as far as how you were feeling. I know for me, I went into proxy mode. My nervous system tends to be sensitive for whatever reason, and I started automatically healing these dimensions until I knew about them. And sometimes it's just because Source and the guide team are like, well, you need to know about them, so we have to find some way of getting your attention, and this usually gets my attention. So I went ahead and healed, even in the future, all of those different entity dimensions. So they're running at around a light score about 70 now. Now, interestingly, this is when I first heard the word dimension, I'm thinking, the number, like what number dimension is it? Because normally that's what I get. But these were entity dimensions with no number. Unlike the other dimensionals, like our ET friends that have come from higher dimensions. And speaking of them, after we did the healing on the entity dimensions, we were then in the presence of these very powerful positive dimensions and vibrations. And I asked, what if there was a number there, and there was. So this is the our 105th, 131st dimension, and 105th, 247th dimension. So we're into the rising phase of the Ascension cycle, and that's where I definitely had difficulty yesterday because I had trouble grounding these new energies. Of course, I didn't know that was the issue until after the fact when I had to test. And that what happens with the rising phase if we're not able to ground new energies is that you get some people can get a lot of pressure. And I know for me, and it's very rare I get these headaches now. I used to get them all the time during Ascension upgrades, and then I was able to integrate and ground much quicker. But these ones are pretty powerful because I definitely had difficulty. I had to ask my light warriors for help last night to help send healing. And so I basically went to bed with intense, headaches back here and radiating to the eyes, kind of like migraine, but on both sides. And I took my block therapy block, and I was blocking my neck all night long. Can you imagine sleeping on a block all night long? But that's what I was doing. And I slept relatively well, and I had a little bit of headache this morning, but after I hydrated, it was gone. So one of the lessons is that yesterday I did not hydrate enough. Normally I have like 3 of these little like Vibes Up type bottles and filling up with water. I've got my, energy drops in there, infusing, energies into them. And I think I only gone through 1 3/4 instead of 3 of them. So I definitely felt a huge difference after hydrating. So you definitely want to hydrate a lot during these, so that, why? Because energy runs in your body, and it doesn't run as efficiently if you are not hydrated. It's just part of, that's why the phototherapy patches don't work, the bolt tape doesn't work as well if you're not well hydrated. So that really helped a lot. To hydrate. So I'm now able to ground and integrate those new Ascension energies, body, mind, soul, in the highest, best way. And the really interesting thing was, I thought, well, gee, is this my stuff? And some of it was, but the overwhelming majority of what I was feeling was Mother Earth stuff from multiple timelines. So I think 80-something% was me reflecting. Usually when the word reflecting is being used, and I get a yes, it usually means there's multiple timelines involved. If I have mirroring, it's a little different. Usually it's this timeline, I think, or empathizing is often this timeline. But reflecting means multiple timelines in my case. So I was reflecting Mother Earth's difficulty in grounding and integrating the Ascension energy. So I went ahead and did some healings on her to help her with those issues, and definitely that makes me feel better. So hopefully that'll help you too, in case you were caught up in helping Mother Earth heal as well. So if your brain balance is not fully balanced and you're proxying for someone else, or you're neurologically or polarity reversed, then usually there's some sort of severe stress. And in this case, it's funny because it's like positive stress, it's like positive energies, but it's just our physical bodies, our energetic bodies have to like recalibrate after all of a sudden seeing these positive energies. So we don't have to take every single symptom as necessarily bad. We just have to understand it and be curious about it, and that's probably the best attitude. So some people have asked me to go over like the brain balance thing. Now I do have some videos on YouTube, and eventually when I have some extra time, I'll put out a document on it. So in the Light Warrior Network and Light Warrior Support Group Facebook groups, I actually have a document in files talking about how the muscle testing works out if you are proxying for somebody or if you're reversed, and what the yes/no is like. Now beyond that, people ask me, like, can you just go over how you test your brain balance? So assuming that you are got a difference between a strong yes and a no. Okay, so you have to have a yes and a no. That's correct. So yes is strong, no is weak. So if I'm using the flick test, a yes would be a strong and a no would be an open. Okay, the one I teach that you do for yourself is one-handed, because you need your other hand to check your brain balance. So if I am completely brain balanced, okay, so if I check the right side, it's strong, left side strong, belly over your belly button. So you put this right over your belly button, the palm right over the belly button, and that's strong. That's perfectly brain balanced, okay, which I'm not sure I am right now. But anyway, so if you get one side is weak, okay, and the other strong, and this is strong, that means that side of the brain is overworking. So for those that are right brain dominant, okay, you will tend to go, when you're stressed, you will go into overwhelm mode, and you will just be like, you're almost like all activity ceases, you're like, overwhelmed. And kind of like deer in the headlights, like kind of, So those are the right brainers that get stressed. Now, if the right brain is weak and the belly is weak, that means your autonomic nervous system is having difficulty regulating, and then your right and left brains aren't talking to each other. Same thing, similar thing, actually, if the left is weak, or if the left and the belly is weak, that means the left brain is dominant, and those people that tend to be stressed, and their left brain dominant will tend to be the ones that look stressed, like they're kind of tight, and they're like, like, I'm really stressed out, and get out of my way, and they tend to be really active when they're stressed, like they just look hurried, and whereas the right brain people tend to be like deer in the headlights, they're like almost like can't do anything. So sometimes if you're in one of these two stress modes, you might actually check your brain balance and see if that correlates. Now, Some people will just have the right and left brains are fine. They're nice and, nice and strong, okay? But the belly is weak, okay? So that just means your autonomic nervous system is not regulating properly, but the right and left sides of the brain are communicating well, okay? So that's a lower level of stress response than if you have two things out of whack, like either one side or the other. Now, here is how I know whether or not I'm proxying or whether or not someone else is proxying when I'm checking them, okay, is that the right will be weak, the left will also be weak, and the belly will be strong. Okay, that's how you know that you're proxying. All right, that's how you know that is not how you know that you're reversed. You know you're reversed when a yes is a no and a no is a yes, okay? But assuming that you're not reversed, this is how you know you're proxying. This side will be weak, this side will be weak, this will be strong. Yeah, so that's a brain balance testing, so a little bit more than just the proxying and polarity testing. So eventually I'll put a document out there for you, but hang on to this video if you want a review of what that is. So I just want to share that with you because there was a question on that and I wanted to address it. Now I mentioned hydration before, so hydration, very, very important, especially when we go through all these different shifts. Mother Earth's going through the shifts, we go through the shifts. So I have noticed a trend: hydration, minerals, and chi, that's energy flowing, that you can check how well you're processing each of these three things. So you can say, how well am I processing it, okay? And you get a percentage out of 100%. If you need to be more specific, for whatever reason, for each of these, you can check how well am I able to, for hydration and minerals, for example, how well am I able to absorb water, assimilate water or minerals, utilize water and minerals, and the last new one is distribute water and minerals. And you can even have one more out of those. You can say release excess, how well I'm able to release excess. But usually with hydration, it's a hydration problem inside the cells internally. And when you have excess fluid, it's usually outside the cells. So that's a different. So you can call that water processing or water management, for example. You can do the exact same thing with minerals. How well can I absorb, assimilate, utilize, distribute, and then get rid of excess minerals? Those 5 things. Because sometimes there's a glitch, and I can kind of tell because my joints will feel funny, or I'll be really thirsty suddenly, and then I'll test those things. And as far as chi and energy flow, you can check, how happy is my chi flow? How well can I convert chi from one type to another? Because different types of energy convert to the other. How well can I receive? How well can I store it? How well can I process it? So these are all questions you can ask. And in our Topocan Healing Masterclass on fatigue, we kind of went through some of these, and that's part of the Light Warrior Revolution program, which is a monthly program where I teach Topocan Healing Masterclasses every month, and then there's a Q&A every month too. So if you're not part of that and you're interested in learning more about Topocan Healing Masterclasses, you can go to KarenCan.com/LWR, which stands for Light Warrior Revolution. Check out that program. This month we're actually doing a program on sleep and insomnia. It's a very complex problem. On last Monday's radio show on the 12th of March, we went through both, my holistic doctor advice, as far as, I'll put my doctor hat on, as far as what you can do with your environment, your habits to help your sleep. And then we went into the spiritual medicine piece and took callers and gave you examples of, what some of the different issues that can be causing sleep issues. And then when we do the Light Warrior Revolution this month, which is going to be released this week, the training, I'll go into more detail of what types of evaluations are very pertinent and most common with regards to people with sleep issues. So hopefully we'll help you with your sleep. And with Ascension, boy, sleep is, for sensitives, this definitely has been a challenge. So this is a great topic to do this month, and thanks to my Light Warriors for voting on this topic for this month. I usually sleep really well, so even if I'm having sleep issues, then yeah, there's definitely some other things we need to address. So again, if you're not joining us, haven't joined us yet, and would like to check out the program, it's a monthly program. It's at KarenCan.com/LWR. So what else do I have to tell you this week? Well, this is kind of interesting. I think it's interesting. a couple weeks back, I discovered that there is some sort of morphic field for manifesting or producing one's body shape. So I found out that my body was actually coded by a Lemurian blueprint. When I was a physical, what I would call an extraterrestrial being, as a Lemurian way back when, and I was 8 feet tall, and so here is this morphic field trying to teach my body physiology how to be 8 feet tall and however many pounds and 40 inches diameter, girth, which I don't particularly want as a human. So I swapped out that template for the human template. And it's interesting because it's been like 2-3 years that, because we're healing all our lives, because all those morphic fields are now available, it's sort of like, well, which one's dominant, So the dominant morphic field for me was the Sumerian blueprint. So I pulled that one. I canceled that one, or I said disassociated that one, or disconnected that one, and then reconnected the human one. I thought I was done. And what was really interesting is within a week, I noticed my butt was smaller. I know that sounds hilarious, but the tummy's still big, but the butt was smaller. And here I am looking in the mirror in Wing Chun class, going, my butt looks smaller. Wow, that's pretty cool. And even James said my butt looks smaller, so that was very cool. So, but I knew that wasn't quite it yet, because I was kind of, still kind of poofy up top and in the belly area. So 2 nights ago, I thought, well, gee, if there is a morphic field to code for body physiology, in terms of body shape, maybe there is something for other parts. So I asked, and this is the trick, I asked how many other morphic fields or templates that are non-human are creating my physical body's physiology in this timeline. Okay, so you notice that? I didn't ask if it is, I just asked how many there were left. And I got 9. So there are 9 processes in my body that is still, in this case, for me, Lemurian. And I thought, well, that's interesting. And what the 2 most interesting things for me were, number 1 was fluid management, was one of them, in lymphatic and nervous systems. And the nervous system was a little tricky to disconnect that template and use the human template. I need to do some other healing around that before that would happen. So right as of today, all templates and morphic fields that my body is used to create itself or recreate itself is now human. So I'd be really interested to see, if my body shape continues changing, whether the, fluid issue that I've had for the last year or so will change. And so let me know if you're one of my light warriors, and if you've been alien in other timelines, let me know whether this is relevant for you. I'd really love to know and see what results we get working together. And maybe, our 2 brains or 4 brains or whatever, how many brains are like, problem solving this issue. We can figure it out for everyone else. Now, on the radio show on Monday, on the, what is that, the 19th? Yes, on the 19th, we're going to have the airing of a pre-recorded show that I did with Yuri Krohn and Galina Kaluski. It's a tough Russian name to pronounce. Anyway, so they're from Energy Tools, my friends at Energy Tools International, talking about their specific subtle energy infused products to help with athletic performance, and generally good for anybody with any fatigue issues and, running around with kids and, low energy and that kind of thing. So I basically picked their brains for the whole hour on, how to use these things and why they work, the science behind them, how it differs from like a Rife machine, things like that. So join us on the show. It's pre-recorded, but it's airing live on Monday. And if you can't make it, you can, click the link later and you'll see the recording there. So check it out. That's Monday at noon Eastern Daylight Time. Yes, we've switched to daylight savings since last week. So for those of you with group sessions and with one-on-one healings, just keep that in mind, that here in North America, we're switched to daylight savings time. Okay, guys, boy, it's, like I said, action-packed, lots of stuff going on. So keep your eyes peeled on the Facebook groups, because if there's more information coming forth, I'll be posting there. If you have not registered for my Supercharger Healing Powers event in September. Now is the super early bird time to do it. So it's $97 for the entire event, workshops, everything that we're doing, all the processes that we're doing. And if you do register now as well, we will gift you a friends and family code that if you have friends and family coming that also want to be part of the event, even if they're non-healers, even if they're not part of this group, we will allow them to also register for half price. Cool or cool. Yeah, so I'm so excited. I know it's like 6-7 months later, but I'm so excited. I really want to reward those folks that have done the super early bird because you're so committed. And Kathy Homeyer and I did a Facebook Live last week, I believe, yeah, last week, just talking, answering questions about the event and how to book, accommodations and meals with her. She is giving us a fantastic, amazing deal for that weekend. So I hopefully she'll be happy with what she did, because I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're giving it to us for that price. So definitely book early. There are some extra gifts for those first, I believe it's first 20. Gosh, I can't remember now, 20 or 25. So I'll say 20. The first 20 that book and of course show up, obviously, at the event, they are going to get their very brand new Vibes Up with the gems on the bottom bottle as a personal gift from me, and I love giving stuff away. So yes, so definitely register early, and that will include your guests too. So if your guests register as part of your ticket, even though they're half price, I'm still going to give them a gift as well. So register now at KarenCan.com/supercharge. Until next time, bye for now. Lots of love. Remember to hydrate.